हाँ इशिता मैम, ये बंद तो नहीं हो जाएगा ना 40 मिनट में? अच्छा।
हुआ स्टार्ट? आए क्वेश्चन?
Sandeep sir, please continue.
Hello, Dr. Isita.
Yes, sir.
May I start now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please.
Okay. Yeah. Very good afternoon, one and all present here. Myself, Dr. Sandeep Kumar Verma, Associate Professor, Institute of Biological Science, Sage University. So today I will talk about different dimension of nanobiotechnology. So in the starting, we will have some basic knowledge of the nanotechnology because there are some students. So, and then we will go with the agriculture of plant science. So how nanotechnology started, So there was a very famous scientist, Richard Feynman, and he gave very famous talk about there are plenty of room at the bottom. Means there are lots of scope in the bottom. We have to search and we have to identify. So the term is starting nanotechnology from after this famous talk. So there is a plenty of room at the bottom. Okay, so Richard Feynman asked his audience when he was giving his talk. You can find this video on YouTube as well because this talk is very famous and he got a Nobel Prize. So I don't know how to do this on a small scale in a practical way. But I do know that computing machines are very large. That time, 1950 or 1960s around, the computer was very big around, they can fill the one room. So he said, why can't we make them very small? Make them of little wires, little elements, and by little, I mean little, it means nano, very small. Okay? So nano comes from the Greek word nanos, means 12, extremely small things. The term nanotechnology was used first by the Japanese scientist Norio Takicho in 1974. So if we compare with one very small point, you can see here, very small point. If we assume this is the nanoparticles, so in 10 to the power 0.8 meters, when we enlarge these nanoparticles, can be a one football. If we enlarge this 10 to the power 8 meter, it can be Earth. So you can compare how small is a nano, 10 to the power minus 9. Okay, so these nanoparticles actually we cannot see with our naked eyes because it's very, very small. So nanotechnology are the study and application of extremely small things, okay, and can be used across various fields like chemistry, biology, agriculture, physics, material science, engineering. So this is the multidisciplinary fields nowadays using in chemistry, physics, engineering, and biological science, including biological science, even animals and plant. If you are going through the study with the plant, it can be agriculture related studies of plant science. So there are many different kind of nanoparticles. Few are here. I mentioned. First one is a carbon-based nanoparticles. So there are so many different kind of carbon-based nanoparticles like carbon dots, graphene, carbon nanotubes, fluorines. So carbon dots are using in drug delivery system, and so we can make as a cargo. So this cargo we can deliver in the humans to treat or cure many diseases such as a cancer or cancer tumor. Okay, I will explain in the my later slides. And graphene is also using in many important material this time. So they are making very small, and it can absorb the energy for the long time, and it can release slow. So this material is very important. And carbon dots are using for biosensing of or cells imaging, or it also using for curing the many diseases. And there are another types of nanoparticles like a metal and metal oxide based nanoparticles. So any kind of metal, we can make them very small by using some techniques, okay, like a silver nanoparticle, gold nanoparticle, aluminum nanoparticle, zinc, iron, cobalt, tungsten, all the metal. If we are using any particles from 1 to 100 nanometer, is coming into the nanomaterials, 1 to 100 nanometer, okay? And also nowadays, another quantum dot they are using for making different kind of kits to detect. So like one kit came nowadays through the coronavirus, and so we can detect the coronavirus by using the quantum dots, okay? Uh, and these are very small particles, like 1 to 100 nanometer. It means very small in nano size. So we cannot see with our naked eyes. We have to use some instrument. So here you can see one scale like a millimeter and micrometer. The upper part is like a head of pin, and electrochemical device is around 10 to 100 micrometer wide. So we can see with our eyes, okay? And even the head of the pin we can see with our eyes, 1 to 2 meter. But here is an ant like 5 millimeter, and this is the dust mite 200 micrometer. Here, our hair, their size 60 to 120 micrometer wide. So these things we can see with our eyes, okay? But we cannot see with our eyes below the 1 micrometer, like ATP synthesis, atom of silicon, DNA, even carbon nanotubes, like 1 to 3 nanometer diameter, we cannot see with our naked eye. So we need some instrument to observe, visualize these nanoparticles. Okay, so there are so many different kind of instrument available, such as here is the 2-electron microscope. If we have some nanoparticles or we synthesize our nanoparticles, we can also synthesize like a green synthesis, chemical synthesis, or available in the market. You can buy from the Sigma or some other companies. And before using for your experiment, whether in the animal science or in agriculture science, you have to characterize. You should know that their size, their shape, their upper layer should be having some functional group. So you have to characterize before planning your experiment, okay? So you should know their properties. And so here, this is a 2-electron microscope. One is a scanning electron microscope, another is a transmitted electron microscope. These are the 2-electron microscope. One scanning electron microscope, you can scan any kind of nanoparticles, okay? And it can give very high resolutions picture of its surface. You can also find the size and shape with this electron microscope. And if you are going for the deep, like if you want to see the mitochondria, how the mitochondria looks like, how inside there is a compartment, you can go with the transmission electron microscope, because this electron can pass through the specimen. Okay, and the second electron, once it's coming back, you can visualize. So with this two technology, we can see the nanoparticles. Even if you want to see the coronavirus, you have to use scanning electron microscope or TAM, transmitted electron microscope. So you can see, okay, its surface having some protein or some structure, okay. okay, and is a round shape or is a circular or is a triangular, everything you can see with the electron microscope. Here is the FTIR, and this FTIR, you can find out this particular surface, electron or these nanoparticles having which kind of functional group. If you want to see the functional group, you can go with the FTIR. Okay, and if you can go just like some carbon nanomaterials, you want to see the light scattering, you can go with the Raman spectroscopy. Okay, and this one is the XRD. XRD, you can see the specific size. You can also calculate. There are some formula. Okay, nanoparticle I synthesize. What is the exact size of nano in the nanometer? So you can go with the XRD, and you will also find out the impurities of other metals inside your sample. So these are the instruments. There are so many instruments, okay, but these are the basic instruments for the nanotechnology, okay. And there are so many applications, you know, like we have some prototype device to detect the sugar, like India is a hub or capital of diabetes. So this kind of prototype device you can find anywhere. So these are the sensor, and they are also using some nanotechnology based biosensors. And some other application of nanotechnology, like a drug delivery. If you can load like carbon nanotubes. Okay, yeah. Inside the carbon nanotubes there are lots of space. You can load your drug. If you want to treat some patient which is having the tumor or some cancerous cells, you can use the carbon nanotubes, and you can load the specific drugs. It can block the cell cycle, okay, so it cannot be proliferate the particular tumor. And these nanoparticles which is having the drugs, the doctor can inject, and it can visualize where it's going, because these nanotubes are having the specific receptor which can bind with the tumor cells. Okay, it cannot, it won't affect the normal cells. So it can go and bind with the tumor cells, and it can be engulfed, and it can release the drugs. So this way, nanotechnology is very useful for using as a cargo, as a drug delivery vehicle. So nowadays, many scientists are developing such kind of materials. Okay, and nowadays scientists also working on the nanorobot. So this kind of nanorobot, you can see they can fix the RBCs if there is a having problem. Also, they can remove the parasite if it is present in our blood cells. And also, you can see here, they can fix the DNA if there is a problem in the DNA. So these kind of nanorobots in the future can treat the cancer. It's also useful for breaking kidney stones, breaking clot in blood, and parasite removal, cleaning wounds. Okay, so, and this is the another application of nanotechnology is food science. In food science, they are also using for the food packaging and security, because food safety, they can also detect the foodborne pathogen by using the nanoparticles against heavy metal reduction, against allergens, against pesticide, additives, drugs, inhibition of biofilm formation, and also they are using nowadays for food preservation, like the antimicrobial agents, nano encapsulation, enhancement in physical properties, protection against chemical deteriorates. So these kind of, also nowadays the researchers or scientists are developing some different kind of material, nanomaterial, by using the green synthesis. Like here you can see, like they use the clammy cherry here, and they extract and mix with the silver nanoparticles, and they prepare some nanoparticles, green synthesized nanoparticles, and it having some property to reduce the dye. So these kind of nanoparticle can use to dye industry, and it can reduce the particular dye, because the particular area can be contaminated. So environmental cleaning, nowadays nanotechnology is very useful. And every day we are using nanotechnology. Nowadays, nanotechnology is using for antimicrobial uses. Okay, so like some product is coming now in the market, like a bandage, soap, surgical implements use silver nanoparticles for their antimicrobial effects, because it is having the antimicrobial effect. So they are preparing the some kind of product which is useful for us. Okay, so and antimicrobial is sunscreen they are preparing like a zinc oxide, titanium oxide. Okay, and it can mainly block the UVA radiation and UVB radiation. So many sunscreen contain titanium oxide or zinc oxide nanoparticles, because this kind of material can absorb the UV radiation, and titanium dioxide also find us in some food stuff as a witness agents. Okay, and now also the cloth is coming with the silver, because you know silver having the antimicrobial property, and silica water repellent, means if you are wearing such kind of a shirt, so it can repel the water if you are going in the rainy season. And titanium oxide and zinc oxide, they are making the shirt or some other things, so it can absorb the UV radiation, and many others like antiseptic properties. Sports equipment they are preparing with the carbon nanotubes, because this kind of this kind of racket, if they are preparing with the carbon nanotubes, so 100 times stronger as a steel. Okay, if you compare with the steel, it is 100 times stronger. Okay, and the weight is the 1/6 time less as compared to the steel. Okay, and so there are so many different kind of application now. Every day people are using such kind of product in their daily life. So now we are talking about the plant nanotechnology or agriculture nanotechnology, because I want to give a very brief introduction. What is the nanotechnology? How the scientists are working, which kind of product they are making, how they are treating the cancers and other things. So here you can see like nanotechnology in agriculture. Okay, so you can see here like for crop growth, crop improvement, crop protection, precision farming, stress tolerance, soil enhancement, and they are making also transgenic plant by using nano carrier. Okay, nano pesticide they are preparing, nano sensor they are using, and some nanoparticles are very good for boosting the growth or plant growth and germination, and the final yield also increasing. Okay, so nano-based target delivery approaches, like if you want to transfer gene transfer, and is used for the crop improvement, and nano pesticides can be used for efficient crop protection. Okay, and uses of nano sensor and computerized control greatly contribute to precision farming, and nanomaterial can also used to promote plant stress tolerance and soil enhancement. So this kind of application is using in agriculture science, and also use of nanoparticles in plant production. So here you can see like nanoparticles in plant production. Okay, nanoparticle can used for multiple plant protection, like here purpose such as you can see here pathogen detection by using the nano diagnostic. Nanopesticide, we can control the pest against microbial pathogens, fungus, bacteria, and insects. Weed control, pesticide remediation, and induce resistance, and so on. So these are the uses of nanoparticles in plant production. Now, this is from my old paper. You can see this was a review and published in Science of the Total Environment in Elsevier. So, in plant science, in agriculture science, there is the two things. Whether you can buy the commercial nanomaterials, or you can synthesize your own green synthesis nanomaterials by using agriculture waste. Okay, even you can prepare from your chair nanoparticles, like from the wood. If you burn in the high temperature like 400, 600, and you can find some nanoparticles and you can characterize. So there are so many nanoparticles available, commercial. Also, you can synthesize, and then you have to characterize their shape and size, their charge for FTR, an electron microscope, XRD, this kind of uh, instrument. And then you should decide the concentration, because if you are using any nanoparticles, they, their effect is a dependent or concentration dependent. If you are using the low concentration, which is the minimum range, then the yield of plant and plant growth can be enhanced and seed germination can be enhanced. If you increase the concentration, it can having the toxic effect, inhibitory effect of nanoparticles. So I characterize here, you can see like cesium and sodium related nanoparticles always giving the positive effect on plant growth and development. Like a zinc, cesium, and iron also giving the positive, even in some higher concentration is giving the negative effect. And like a silver, titanium, copper, gold, psyllium, cesium, they are also giving in the lower concentration the positive effect on the plant development and seed germination and even the yield of particular crop. Okay, and if you increase the concentration, it can having the adverse effect. Like cobalt and quantum dot always giving the negative effect, and aluminum, nickel, and dendromer effects is always giving the toxic effect. Whether you are using the lower concentration or higher concentration, always giving the toxic effects. Okay. So these are the nanoparticles, as I explained in my previous slide. Like we can use as a nano carrier, you can load nanofertilizer, even genes, other things related. Also, you can use it as a biochemical and bioactive materials. Control release of the chemical from the nanocargo. Nanocarrier mediated delivered to the target cells. You can also use as a cargo to deliver any kind of material. It's depend upon your interest. And like quantum dot, like fluorescent dye, you can use the intracellular delivery of coloring agent for imaging and biomarkers. So these are all application of nanotechnology in plant science and agriculture science. Okay, so this was my paper. If you want to read whole the story like engineering nanoparticles, what commercial available, plant growth and development. Okay, so this paper, if you read, you will understand about the metal and metal oxide nanoparticles, how and which concentration they are enhancing the plant growth, and some other molecular aspect you can find here, even the secondary metabolites enhancing all these things. So we published in 2018, and the impact factor is 6.5 at 9. So it was a big paper. And if I'm talking about the carbon nanomaterials in the plant, so there are so many different kind of carbon nanoparticles, like fluorocarbon, carbon nanoparticles, water-soluble carbon nanoparticles, carbon nanodots, water-soluble carbon nanodots, and all these fluorescent carbon dots, carbon nanotubes. These are all carbon nanomaterials. Okay, if you will see here, so these kind of carbon nanoparticles is having the drought tolerance. If you are using in agriculture, or if you are designing any experiment related to plant which is having the drought problem, you can mix the soil with the fluorescence or fluorol. It is having the drought tolerance capacity. Okay, and graphene oxide, there are so many papers, and it's promote the water transport. If it is promote the water transport, it means it is also important for the seed germination. Okay, and these carbon nanoparticles and water soluble carbon nanoparticles is for nutrition absorbance. It increase the absorbance of nutrition from the root, slow release of nutrition, influence of photomorphogenesis, and early flowering, if you are using this kind of nanoparticle for your experiment. And this carbon nanohorns is a smart delivery. You can use the any kind of like a nanofertilizer or genes or DNA. If you want to deliver, you can use such kind of nanoparticles. And this nanoparticle is also increasing the uptake of some important like nitrogen, potassium, calcium, magnesium. It can increase the absorbance or uptake of this particular. Okay, so here also you can see the magnesium, molybdenum, copper, zinc, iron, nickel. This can also increase the uptake by using the water-soluble nanocarbon onions. Okay. Biological sensing you can do with fluorescence carbon dots and micronutrient carrier by this carbon nanofluorescence. And also carbon nanotubes are very important. It can increase the uptake of potassium, calcium, iron and water uptake during the drought, upregulation of NIN genes, water channel protein and cell wall formation genes and smart delivery. So these are all the character is reported in lots of studies. So if you are going to prepare some nano fertilizer, you can also use this paper. It's very important paper. And there are, if you are using any nanoparticles, so there is a bioaccumulation, transport, and uptake in root. Okay, after this stem, I also summarize which nanoparticles is moving and crossing the barrier of roots, and it's going to stem and then leaf, then finally in the fruit. And the fruit is some paper find out the multiple wall carbon nanotubes can reach till the fruit. So these are the nanoparticles, especially for carbon nanotubes related to carbon. Okay, the previous one was the metal and metal oxides. So these nanoparticles are very useful if you are using in the low concentration. It can boost the plant growth and development. So this paper also published in the same journal, application of carbon nanomaterials in the plant, a prospective view of pros and cons. And the impact factor was 6.5 in Elsevier. So I started, now I will explain some my research related to nanotechnology in plant. So in Sabancı University in Istanbul, there is a nanotechnology research and application centers. So I started my first time research from this institute, okay? And you can see this institute, it looks like a cell. So outer layer is a cell. If you are going inside, the room looks like different like mitochondria, and very beautiful place. And the stairs looks like a DNA structure. So they prepare like a cell compartment. Okay, so I started my nanotechnology research from here. So I was working in that lab, and now I'm talking about the plant side. You know, the one side is the plant population is increasing, and another problem is climate change. So how we can, like, increasing the population of the world is projected to rise 8 billion by 2025 and further to 9 billion by 2050. So we choose one plant. His name is ancon. This is a Titricum monococcum subspecies monococcum. This is the very first wheat plant. Okay, and we collected from the some part of Turkey, and there is this plant is naturally growing, and it is having the some valuable trait like ecological plasticity, resistant to stress factor, resistant to some fungal disease. As a result of global climate change, the interest in this wheat has strongly increased nowadays. So Encon is a promising candidate for the development of smart crop. Okay, so what we have done, we use a different kind of nanoparticles like copper, and we characterize with different method, as I said you earlier, like SCM, TAM, and XRD. And this is titanium oxide, same TAM pictures and XRD. Here's the zinc oxide, same TAM, XRD picture. So we can calculate their size as well, and also shape, which kind of is circular, triangular. And this is the FTIR, Fourier transfer infrared spectroscopy. So we found some functional group present on that particular particles. So here you can see what we have done. We use different concentration of, first we use the Encon seed. This is the first wheat, okay? This is the monococcum, Triticum monococcum, and we characterize our nanoparticles, these 3 nanoparticles, and we grow these Encon seeds, and we treated with titanium oxide, zinc oxide, and copper. And we found out, we calculate their growth parameters, ultrastructure, apoptosis, antioxidant activity, growth promoter, growth inhibitor, microRNA nanoparticles uptakes, bioaccumulation, translocation, and we did all this study. Okay, so this is a titanium oxide of germination rate in corn. I will go a little fast because we found the germination rate in highest in titanium oxide as compared to zinc oxide and copper oxide. Copper oxide was giving the some toxic effect on the germination. Okay, so here we also compare like control titanium oxide, zinc oxide, and copper oxide. This is the root, and you can see the copper oxide. The root was smaller as compared to the control group. So titanium oxide was okay, and we also examine how the nanoparticles was uptaking by accumulation in the root, and how translocation from the root toward the shoot portion of the that particular seeds germination. Okay, and here we also did some energy dispersive X-ray analysis, and we found out inside the root which this copper and metals, calcium, copper, and other this phosphorus, magnesium, sodium, and we calculate how much it was present inside the root after the treatment of different nanoparticles. So these are our results. And we also did some histology of Encon root. After the treatment of Encon root, these nanoparticles, how the root inner structure is changing. And we also did some work on chromosomal abnormalities. After giving the exposure of nanoparticles, how the chromosome structure is changing. Okay, so like also we did some microtubule structure, because after exposure of copper and some other higher concentration, some cells start to apoptosis, programmed cell death. So we also find out this particular phenomena in that plant. And here also nuclear degeneration, how the nuclear in the some toxic concentration, how it can degenerate. Okay, and we also compare some intranucleosomal DNA cleavage, like a programmed cell death. It was another experiment. So we use a terminal deoxynucleotide transferase mediated DUTP, NIC, and labeling. And we found out if the DNA is breaking, there is a in the 3' OH group. So this dye is going to bind with that group. So we can find out, okay, there is some breakage of DNA. So it means it is going to be programmed cell death or apoptosis. So we can say in agriculture, we can go through the nanotechnology to implement many things like target genetic engineering, biomolecular delivery, nuclear DNA delivery, nutrition, balanced nutrition supply we can do, and reduction of cost production, protection we can go, regulation we can go. Okay, so in that way we can increase the sustainable agriculture, enhance the crop yield, and sustainable environment. If you want to read more about the plant nanotechnology, this is our book we published with the Elsevier. So analysis, fat and toxicity of engineering nanomaterials in plant, and engineering nanomaterial and phytonanotechnology challenges for plant sustainability. So these are available online. You can also read if you have any problem or curiosity about the agriculture nanotechnology. So I also thankful to Sage University and to BITAC for providing the funding for this work. And thank you so much. If any question, you can ask me.
Thank you, sir. Now the platform open for the audience. You may ask if you are having any query, any question.
Okay, I guess everybody understand very well. If you having any problem and queries related to this particular topic, you may send me also your email or your question, or you can WhatsApp me, or even you can call me. Okay.
Sir, actually you explained so well. That's why they are not having any kind of query or the question.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank
Really,
you.
sir, the session was very wonderful. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, sir,
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am.
for sharing your profound knowledge and sparing your valuable time for the participants as well as for me also. So there is an announcement for the audience. Today's session ends here. We will meet again tomorrow at the same time on the Zoom platform with the same ID and the password.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much. Have
Thank
a
you, sir.
great day. Bye bye.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.